be showing you 8 different watercolor techniques that you can use to create your own beautiful watercolor artwork. Alright, so now let's talk about what we'll need. First, you'll need the basics: watercolor paper, watercolor paints, a paintbrush, and of course, water. We'll also need some masking tape to tape down our paper, and paper towels are always a good idea to have around for cleanup, and we'll also be using them for one of the techniques I'll be showing you. For a couple of the other techniques, we'll also be using salt and plastic wrap. The first technique we'll be doing is called a flat wash. This is for when you just want an area with one consistent uniform color. First, you will use a brush with no paint on it to wet the paper in the section you'll be doing the flat wash in. We'll be wetting the paper in other sections too, so you might want to have 2 brushes, one that you keep clean for water and the other you use to paint. So we're going to get this section of paper wet, and then with our wet brush, we're going to get just a little bit of the color. And there you have a nice, consistent flat wash. This next technique is for when you want to blend colors. This is a good technique for things like sunsets. Again, you'll start by wetting your paper. Great. At the top of this section, you're going to start with one of your colors. So I'm going to do red, as if this were a sunset. Then I'm going to clean off my brush. And I'm going to pick the color that I want to blend it into. So in this case, I'm going to blend it into yellow down at the bottom. Blend that upwards, and then in the middle, I'm going to want some orange. Pick up some orange with my brush, put that towards the middle, and then now you're just kind of blend those colors together. So with your brush, you'll kind of move the red into the orange, move the orange into the yellow, so that they all just kind of blend together. And there you have a blend. Next, I'm going to show you lifting. This is a useful technique for both creating your painting as well as fixing mistakes you might make. First, we repeated the steps that we did for the flat wash, but while your paper is still wet, you're going to take your paper towel and simply lift some of the color off that you just painted on. As you can see, you can kind of create some cloud shapes in the sky, or if you put some color in an area of your painting where you didn't need to, you can lift up some of that color so it's lighter, so it's easier to paint over. Next is a fun technique that will bring some texture into your painting. It's pretty easy. You'll again start by just repeating the flat wash technique, making sure that you use a lot of a bold, bright color. right, so now that we've done that flat wash technique, we are simply going to put a nice amount of salt over that section of the paper. The salt is going to absorb up some of that color and make a really neat texture. So we are just going to wait for that to dry and see what it turns out like. So what we did here in the plastic wrap section is we wetted our paper and we blended a few different colors here. We've got some purple, some blue, and some green. And then we simply just put our plastic wrap over that section of the paper and crinkled it up. But we're gonna have to wait and see what it looks like because it needs some time to dry. I'm just gonna keep rolling and it's gonna be a super long video, but at least I will know that it's there. Okay. And here is what it looks like when it's dried. So for the next 3 techniques I will show you, we're going to be using dried paper. So for this first one, we're gonna wet our brush and get some paint on it. So one of the most important things for us to remember when we're doing watercoloring is to always start with the lightest color, because it's easy for a darker color to go over a lighter color. Much easier than it is for a light color to go over a dark color. So with this layering technique, we started with this nice light yellow, and then I'm gonna get a darker color, so I'm gonna go with red, and then I'll draw some lines over that yellow. Some more water on my brush. And then I'm gonna get an even darker color and go over those lighter colors. So again, the most important thing to remember with this technique is to go from lightest to darkest. So in that last technique, I was using a wet on dry technique. So that means that the brush was wet, but the paper was dry. I'm gonna do this again to show you that you can use this technique for creating bold, clean lines. So this is good when you want to create details or outlines. All right, then the last technique I'm going to show you is dry on dry. So as you might guess, that means the paper is dry and the brush is dry. So this creates more textured lines. And this is good for things like grass. So there you have it. Now you have all sorts of watercolor techniques that you can use to make your own unique piece of artwork. So get creative and have some fun!